Every day, something tries to get through. A missile test off the coast of North Korea. A hacking attempt on a power grid. A submarine shadowing a coastline it shouldn't be near. And almost every day, it doesn't get through. For decades, the United States has been described as having the most powerful defense system on Earth. Some even call it unbeatable. But is that actually true? Or is it just something we've all been told? Over the next few minutes, we're going to open up the real machine, the missiles, the submarines, the satellites, and the code that stands between the American homeland and the rest of the world. And we're going to be honest about where it's genuinely dominant and where the cracks actually are. It starts with money, an almost incomprehensible amount of it. In 2025, the United States spent roughly $950 billion on its military, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. That's about a third of everything every country on the planet spent on defense combined. More than the next 6 highest spending nations put together. In fiscal year 2026, once emergency and reconciliation funding is added in, the Pentagon's budget crossed $1 trillion for the first time outside of an active declared war. This is the financial foundation underneath everything you're about to see. The backbone of American deterrence is what's called the nuclear triad, 3 completely separate ways to launch a nuclear weapon, so that no single attack could ever wipe out all of them at once. The first leg lives underground. Roughly 400 Minuteman III ICBMs sit in hardened silos scattered across Montana, Wyoming, and North Dakota, some of them on continuous alert since the early 1970s. They're aging, which is why the Air Force is developing a replacement called Sentinel, a program that has run over budget and is currently being restructured, with a major design decision expected by the end of 2026. The second leg is the one adversaries fear most, because it's the one they can't find. 14 Ohio-class submarines patrol the world's oceans, each one able to fire more than a dozen nuclear missiles without ever surfacing, and each one nearly impossible to track once it disappears beneath the waves. This is the most survivable part of the entire nuclear force. The Navy is now building their replacements, the Columbia-class submarines, though like most major defense programs in 2026, that project has faced its own schedule delays. The third leg flies. Today that means aging B-2 Spirit stealth bombers and B-52s that have been in service since the Cold War. But 2026 marks a turning point. The new B-21 Raider has finished flight testing faster than almost any stealth aircraft program in history, completing a planned 6-month test campaign in just 73 days. Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota has now been named the Raider's first operational home, with the first aircraft expected to arrive there in 2027. When it's fully fielded, it will be the first 6th-generation bomber in the world. Offense is only half the story. The United States also runs a layered shield built from several different systems, each covering a different range and altitude. Patriot batteries intercept short-range threats, the same system that has shot down Russian hypersonic missiles over Ukraine in real combat. THAAD covers medium and high-altitude threats. Aegis-equipped Navy ships can knock down missiles from the sea. And for the most dangerous threat, a long-range intercontinental missile aimed at the homeland, there's ground-based mid-course defense, with interceptors based in Alaska and California. Here's the honest part. GMD's own test record sits at roughly half of its live-fire intercept attempts succeeding, and independent analysts note those tests are scripted and don't fully replicate a real attack. The Pentagon itself describes this system as designed to stop a small, limited strike, say, from North Korea, not a massive salvo from Russia or China. In January 2025, the president signed an executive order to build something far more ambitious. A nationwide shield nicknamed Golden Dome, designed to stop ballistic missiles, hypersonic weapons, and cruise missiles before they ever reach American soil, including, for the first time, interceptors based in space. The number originally floated was $175 billion. But the Congressional Budget Office estimates a system with that scope would actually cost closer to $1.2 trillion over 20 years, and some industry analysts believe the full program could be worth up to $3.6 trillion over its lifetime. As of mid-2026, the Space Force has ordered dozens of new tracking satellites and is targeting the first space-based interceptor tests before the end of the year. But the program's own leadership has warned Congress it could be forced to pause as early as October 2026 without additional funding. This is a shield still being built in real time in front of us. By law, the U.S. Navy is required to maintain 11 aircraft carriers, more than every other country on Earth combined operates of any kind. 10 are Nimitz-class ships, several decades old but still formidable. The newest is the USS Gerald R. Ford, the lead ship of a new class capable of generating far more daily sorties than its predecessors. No other nation can put even one nuclear-powered carrier strike group anywhere in the world and keep it there indefinitely. The United States can do this with several at once, though maintenance backlogs and construction delays mean the fleet doesn't always operate at full strength simultaneously. In the air, the F-22 Raptor remains one of the most capable air superiority fighters ever built, while the F-35 Lightning II, flown by every branch of the U.S. military and more than a dozen allied nations, combines stealth with sensors that let pilots see threats long before those threats see them. Add the incoming B-21 Raider, and the United States is fielding a stealth force that no other country currently matches in scale. Modern warfare starts in orbit. The U.S. Space Force, established in 2019, now operates a growing constellation of missile-tracking satellites designed to spot a launch within seconds, anywhere on the planet. In July 2026 alone, the Space Force ordered 36 additional tracking satellites as part of the buildup toward Golden Dome. Without this space layer, none of the missile defense systems on the ground would know where to aim. Not every threat arrives on a radar screen. U.S. Cyber Command defends military networks, power grids, and financial systems against attacks that happen every single day, from state-sponsored hacking groups to criminal ransomware gangs. This is widely considered the domain where the United States is most exposed. There is no wall thick enough, no missile fast enough, to stop a line of malicious code from crossing a border in milliseconds. America's defense doesn't stop at its own coastline. Hundreds of U.S. military installations exist across dozens of countries, and treaties like NATO mean an attack on one member is treated as an attack on all of them. A carrier forward deployed in Japan, bombers rotating through Europe, submarines patrolling Allied waters. This global web of bases and alliances is arguably as important to American security as any single weapon system. Here's what a fair documentary has to say. On February 5, 2026, the last remaining nuclear arms control treaty between the United States and Russia, New START, expired with no replacement agreed. For the first time in over 50 years, there are no binding limits on either country's strategic nuclear arsenal. Russia holds an estimated 5,400 warheads, the U.S. around 5,100, and China's arsenal, while still much smaller at roughly 600, is growing faster than any other nation's, by about 100 warheads a year. Hypersonic weapons, which can maneuver unpredictably at more than 5 times the speed of sound, remain a genuine challenge for existing missile defenses. And several of the programs you just saw, Golden Dome, the Columbia-class submarines, new aircraft carriers, are running behind schedule or short on funding. Unbeatable isn't really the right word. What the United States actually has is layered, expensive, occasionally unreliable, and still the most formidable defense architecture on the planet. Its real power has always come from deterrence, making an attack so costly that no rational adversary attempts one, not from some mythical, impenetrable wall. So, is America's defense system unbeatable? The honest answer is, no system is. But few, if any, come close to matching its scale, its redundancy, and its reach. What you've just seen isn't a fortress with no gaps. It's a machine built on the idea that no enemy should ever want to find out where those gaps are. If you found this breakdown useful, subscribe for more deep dives into the systems that shape our world, and let us know in the comments which part of the shield you want us to go deeper on next.